Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the issue 18 of the Amazingly Uncanny podcast. I'm here with you as always. We also have Madrid.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And Jesse.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Now, for this week, I'm on a little bit of a time constraint, so I'm going to hand over the reins of this issue to Jesse. I have to leave a little early, so Jesse, why don't you go ahead and lead us through this one?
All right, well, today we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to go, something that was really public this week that we talked about was banning of cosplayers at certain establishments, especially more of the sexy type of girls. That's one. The other thing we're actually be talking about racism in cosplay.
Okay.
And we are for sure going to touch on Howard the Duck.
Cool.
Is Howard the Duck a racist?
I think so. I don't think he likes Spider-Man much, but that's one thing. So yeah, that's where we'll go, and then we'll see where everything else leads into. So Alex, go for it.
Go for what? Well, what?
What? All right, well, okay. I don't know if you were going to throw anything else in. Was there any shows or anything like that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, yeah, I did want to talk about the new Ghostbusters real quick, because they're making a second Ghostbusters movie with an all-male cast. I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, like, do they have enough... Is there enough audience out there to see two Ghostbuster movies?
Yes.
I doubt it.
Want to make a bet?
That both of them will be a success?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll bet that.
You have an all-group feminist organization coming as the Ghostbusters. For once, women in comedy can come back in a genre bigger and harder than ever, and they're going to succeed because Dan Aykroyd's blessing on everything else he's doing. And I think on the other side, you got Mr. fucking Tatum.
Channing motherfucking Tatum.
Yes.
The man.
Yeah, but he's not big enough to carry a whole franchise.
I would tell you what if Jonah Hill has something to do with it.
He probably will. It's not who I would cast, but because then you just have
He could be the secondary.
23 Jump Street.
Well, not even that. What if he was just a producer or writer?
Right. That's fine. But I'm just saying, like, it just seems like, why not just have one movie with males and females? Why do you have to do two completely separate movies?
Because I think there's a paradox in pop culture, especially with movies now. Like, we see it right now. We have, you have the new Batman coming out, and then we have that new Death Squad or whatever, Suicide Squad.
Right.
Same concepts going out around the same time.
But you're not having two Batman movies, one with a female Batman and one with a male Batman.
That is true. What I'm saying is I think people are starting to realize you can cut and promote differently and bring different entities. Because there's going to be a lot of women that are going to go to this. There's going to be a lot of people that are fans of these women for that. Then we're going to get the Tatum and everybody else they bring to that table. Because I guarantee you there are going to be some really big heavy hitters from today's society or this moment that really want to hear out.
I mean, they could be doing their own little Ghostbusters universe where they're bringing both movies, they put them out first and then bring them together for a third.
Yeah, I guess they could. I just don't know. It just seems weird to me to have basically the same movie, just with males and females. Like,
You fucking sexist?
actually, that's sexist to have two movies completely, like, with males and then females. That, to me, is sexist. Because now you have, females are going to go to this movie, males are going to go to this movie. Like, why not just make one movie?
How many people would rather see a porn with all that cast? Besides that Jones broad, nobody wants to see that shit.
Well, porn's a completely different animal. What I'm saying is, like, porn is a tool. It's not... it's not... It could be some people's form of entertainment, but it's not. Movies and porn are completely different.
Have you ever seen Magic Mike?
That's not porn.
But it was a tool for me, just gotta say.
Yeah.
It got me wet.
True. Fair enough.
No, I think personally, I think there's so much money and so much technology and time, and it doesn't take as much nowadays to do a film like it used to, like 10, 15 years ago. And I think they could totally make more money off this, and as Madrid was saying, when they cross over, it's going to make so much more money if they're success.
Yeah, if they do.
Yeah, because even if it's a minimal success, like a 5-10% success, it's still a success. They're still going to go for it again.
If it makes money.
Oh yeah. Me personally, I don't see those franchises being, they're not going to be a fucking.
But
Dark
they're
Knight
going to be
like that.
You know they're going to be competing against each other. Once both of them come out, they're going to be like, oh, well, the male version made more money, or the female version made more money, or it's constantly going to be competition between the two of them.
But I think that's great marketing.
Could be.
They could blow up in their face for sure.
They're like 50 and Kanye all over again.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Kanye won, 50 got his ass kicked.
Still didn't retire.
All right, now we're gonna go for. We got anything more on that?
Nah. I think we exhausted that.
All right. Let's go back to banning of cosplayers. Certain spots. I'm not going to put names out and shit like that because I don't want it to be that extreme. It's just our own ideas. Certain cons believe certain types of women should not be at their establishments.
Certain cons?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Now, what do you mean by certain women? Like,
These
those?
particular cosplay women that are out there, they're saying, you know, they are banned from going to their establishments. They are banned to be there. So, you know, there's a few different views. I know we were talking to Jesse James. Jesse James said,
you said these types of women. What types of women?
extremely beautiful promo girls.
Oh, okay.
You
So
know
it's
what I
not
mean?
like fat chicks are banned from.
No, that would be great. I would sign that petition quick.
Okay, so they're saying
I'm gonna sign
really.
a petition for people can't self-express themselves in any manner if they're uggos.
So there's cons out there that are saying extremely attractive females are not allowed to cosplay.
Yeah, like promo girls cannot be at these booths.
Oh, so you can't have. Oh, so what? Like hired?
Yeah,
Okay.
like hired cosplay, because this is what a certain business does.
Right.
So they send out women, this and that, and I sit here and I look at it as like, okay, cool, I get it, because you know, it's starting to become more commercial.
Well, why are they banning it?
Just because they don't want those women there. That's what it comes down to.
There's no specific like, hey, we don't want these women here because this or it's just
Yeah, more of the adultery, and they're taking
Okay.
away from the core of what cons are about.
So it's more becoming more about a sex appeal thing.
They're going to use that, but I think it's more the simple fact that we're getting away from the roots of cons. Where I'm like, San Diego Comic Con does that constantly. The best of the best come out, but what do I know?
Right.
You know,
But they're not banning just people.
No.
Patrons. And
No. Promo girls dressed up. But when you read on the underline, it's something I was talking to Jesse James about the other day. He was like, no, they aren't saying promo girls. These specific promo girls. This brand. So somebody might have pissed somebody off, and they're just trying to make it a bigger thing than what it is, and make everybody believe, oh no, we're all getting hit because of this. When in reality, it's like, no, this particular brand isn't allowed.
They give a reason why.
Not really.
They just said they can't do that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's just a vendetta against certain companies. It's
Yeah.
like, oh hey, fuck you guys. You know, we're mad at you because, you know, so and so didn't sleep with us or some bullshit.
Yeah, because I can understand if it's like an issue of like, hey, there's kids at the con, and
Yeah,
you know, as
indecency.
parents, we don't want kids to see, you know, scantily clad chicks and stuff like that. Like that, I could almost understand. But if it's just, you know, a vendetta thing, then it's just bullshit.
With that being said, you know, when we sit here and we look at comics, you know, tits, ass is everywhere, and it always has been.
Right.
You take your child to a comic convention and say, I don't want to expose them to this, where it's like, majority of comic book world is based off of that.
I wouldn't say that. There's definitely some comics and some brands of comics that have, you know, are geared that way to more of an adult audience with, you know, the way they give the wardrobes to the female characters and stuff like that. But there's also plenty of comics that aren't like that, especially a lot of mainstream comics that aren't like that. Like a lot of the big two don't have. I mean, when you look at like Wonder Woman and shit like that from the past, especially like nowadays, yeah, there's a lot more of that, the way they dress and stuff like that in it. But especially back in its roots, like there wasn't, you know, a whole lot of like when you look at Rogue and shit and like Scarlet Witch from the original ones, they're not dressed all that bad.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think to say that it's at the roots of comics is necessarily true.
Well, I sit there and I look at, like, let's say like an Archie comic, right?
Right.
You know, like Veronica or whoever. Like, she
Right.
still had tits and ass. She had hips. It was covered up, but that
Right.
body was there.
Right, but it's not like Power Girl where she had fucking ginormous tits and it's cut, you know, into a V shape right on her tits.
That's true.
You know. But to go back to Archie, like if you try to represent women without any form, then that's just not doing justice to anybody.
Do with a wig.
Yeah.
No, I get it. To me, I'm just like, you know, like I look at it as like when you go to a con, you know what's going to be up. You know what I mean? You're going to get risky cosplay, you're going to get a lot of horror cosplay,
Right.
you know, a lot of weird stuff like that, which is cool because everybody has their own little right. And, you know, most cosplay that we have seen done, there is going to be a girl in a thong.
Right.
There is going to be a girl really risky with boobs out.
Especially like when you go anime and stuff like that, you know, a lot of their women are pretty much like just got nipple clamps on, and you know their shows and their mangas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan for it. Whatever.
I'll take my son, but I don't have one, so it don't count.
I'll take my
No,
nephew
I'm
when he
just
gets
saying,
older.
I can understand that argument because it is the cons and stuff like that are geared toward a young and an old audience. Like their main audience is probably between 15 and 30, right?
Okay.
So when you do have kids like that, and maybe even younger, you know what I mean? I've been to these cons and see younger kids and stuff running around. So when you're in that type of family-friendly environment, I can understand the argument that we don't want chicks and thongs, being around and stuff like that. So I can understand that.
So speaking about those types of subjects of like pros and cons and cosplay, let's get into this whole racism. There's been
I have con racism, just so we're all clear.
I know because I've been seeing a lot of filtering on black cosplayers that
Right.
get no love at all.
They're actually getting harassed and stuff like that because they are dressing as these white characters, but they're black. Like, oh, well, that's not real because this person's black dressing as a white person. It's like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit?
Being where we are in time and, with history, is that something that we haven't really gotten over? Is it still where we're judgmental, where it's like, no, you're black, so you can't play rogue? You know what I mean? Like, what would possess people and make them think they have that voice or that opinion?
Well, I have two, because first of all, I'm not gonna say it's weird to have a black person play a white character, but I don't. At the same time, it's not a real representation of that. Like if I cosplay as the Hulk, but I don't make myself green, then am I really the Hulk? You know what I mean?
Red Hulk. You got red
If
hair.
I'm not- if I'm just, but if I don't paint myself off, I'm just white. Then am I really the Hulk?
No, I get that, but let's say like Sam Jackson. You know what I mean? We got him on the Avengers and all that good stuff.
Right.
Black dude playing a white dude.
Right. I understand that.
That whole Nick Fury. And I think, that being said, it was the simple fact that was those days. Nowadays, it can be whoever you want. Because a cosplay isn't necessarily about your race. It's about who you're trying to portray as a
Yeah,
character.
that's true. And it's not to say that black people can't be white characters, and the same thing with like Nick Fury and stuff like that. But I don't know what that was.
Well,
So let's take like Nicolas Cage. His last name Cage comes from Marvel's Luke Cage, who's a black superhero. That was one of Nick Cage's favorite superheroes growing up.
Right.
So like, is it reversed now because he's white? Oh, you gotta change your name. You can't be Luke or Nicolas Cage anymore because he's a black superhero and you're a white movie star. I think it's this bullshit. But everyone wants to say racism's dead in this day and age, and it's not apparently.
Well, it's
Especially,
definitely not. But it's not like you have a majority of the people at cons and stuff like that who are being outwardly racist. Most of this stuff comes from people who sit behind their computer, get on the internet, and want to talk shit. And like that's a problem way far beyond racism. Like these people who get their fucking internet balls and think they can sit behind their computer and talk shit about people is fucking ridiculous. And they're scum that shouldn't even be brought into the shouldn't even be part of it.
scum that's not a partner shouldn't be brought into this country.
Get this world, damn it.
But this is a new way of bullying.
Right.
Like we have the cyberbullying because, back when we were kids, you get your ass kicked, you get picked on, they tell you whatever at school, but once those hours are gone, you go home.
Unless you live in apartments and they live next door.
Yeah, true that.
Wow, tell grandpa to leave it alone.
Why's your grandpa at your school?
Don't worry about it, bro.
There's weirder problems there.
Bullying doesn't stop.
But now you can't run from it. You got all your social media outlets. You have it, you try to be a cute little chubby girl, and all your friends see it, or your frenemies or whatever it is, sitting there talking shit about you.
But if you're going to do that, if you're going to put yourself out there, then either A, don't put yourself out there, or B, learn how to fucking take it. Like, just because somebody says something doesn't mean you have to listen to it.
No, and I believe that, but we're talking about, like, cosplaying, racism, and all that. One is, anytime you do anything, you're going to have haters.
Right.
That's regardless. But most people in this world aren't equipped to be able to go up against that. Most people are afraid because they're just trying to have a good time. It's like you get dressed and ready for the prom and everybody sits there and talks shit to you all day. Like, why the fuck did you come? Like, nobody wants to feel that. I don't give a fuck who you are.
And I'm not saying that it's right for people to do that, to make fun of like that, but if you can't take it, or if you can't look at it and be like, well, this is just some ignorant person who's talking shit, and put it in the back of your mind, like if you're harping on it every day, then maybe it's not something you should do.
Because of a community. Like let's go back to black cosplayers, being threatened, being harassed, this and that. they shouldn't enjoy it because of haters. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have a dream or a persona you want to put on. You know, because I'm fucking Mexican. You know what I mean? You try to put me on there and say, hey, Jesse, who do you want to be? I want to be Captain America or something like that. Tony Stark. It's like, you don't fit, man. You know, you're short, little, chubby Mexican dude. You know, and that's not a bad thing because at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. Talk shit about me. You'll just be a million other person. But it's hard, I think, you know, because I've never had somebody say, you can't do this because of your race.
Like they even say, like in the article we were reading, looking up at that, people don't want to, in a group of people, you know, don't want to take pictures of these black cosplayers because they're portraying white characters. But then, you know, all these people who are white that do dress up as the white characters, photos all day, they want to interact with these people, and these guys are just sitting here on the wayside like, you know, I put hours into this outfit, make me look pretty, fuck.
I think it's a hump that we do need to get over. And I think the best thing that we can do that is actually talk about it and promote it to help it. Like, you know, hey, let's all build together. Because this isn't a comic book world, a cosplay world, an anime world, a video game world, pop culture. We're not classified as that. We are a fucking community of people that love this type of art.
Right.
And if we don't fight with each other, for each other, what's the point? It's just going to always just be this negative stuff that nobody does anything about. And, you know, I'm always the dude to look for a fight. Like, it doesn't matter. I know I'm going to get my ass kicked, but I'm still going to do it. But this is a fight that I really think that people need to stand behind.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's the thing. Like, you need to have people who fucking shame those people. Like, the best way to like you said, to fight that is to stand up and talk against it. So to say that when you hear somebody or you see somebody who is racist towards somebody in cosplay, fucking go back at them. Like, to do nothing is the worst thing.
absolutely.
Start delivering drop kicks every time you see it.
Well, I think that's a pro, but if I have a hot, awesome costume and a little kid saying, hey, you can't be there because you're black, I don't think I'm going to kick him in the dick just because he's ignorant.
Kick his parents.
Well, for sure. You know what I mean?
Because the parents, you know, type of shit like that comes from parents as you grow up and you leave it up to
yeah.
your kids and then so forth and so forth until someone breaks that chain. Kick the parents' ass.
No, I dig it.
We don't promote violence.
But we do promote any cosplayers that want to express themselves any which way you want. We're down with it.
Most definitely.
No. So we'll put that out there. So if anybody's listening, you want to talk some more, hit us up. We'll showcase you. We'll give a fuck about what everybody else says. So now we're going to move to Howard the Duck. And with that being said,
Yeah, I'm going to have to take off. So, y'all enjoy the rest of the podcast. I'll see you guys next week. Peace out, fellas.
later, brother.
You can say bye to the audience.
You already did.
That's who I was talking.
Bye,
I'm not
Felicia.
talking to you.
I wanted to feel special, but apparently not. It's like the family reunion all over again.
Your white dad leaving?
Well, I haven't heard my white dad in months, actually. I don't know where he's at.
He probably left.
Kevin, if you're out there, stay out there. God doesn't kick my ass. So, Howard the Duck.
All right, let's talk about this Howard the Duck little motion on there. We got Howard the Duck, issue number 1. Trapped in a world he's grown accustomed to. So, you know, one of my arch nemesis of comics is actually in here.
Before we start that, let's talk about the first opening page.
Fair enough.
Where Howard's there, they're doing the whole promo right here, and they're saying how, you know, he came from a different dimension, unwanted and stuff. He mentions that he was a karate duck or a ninja duck, and how he was on Lucasfilms, you know, George Lucas used him in the film and all that shit. So you're already showing in the intro of this that it's, hey, I've been around, this is my backstory real quick, you know, throwing George Lucas, there's like fucking, what are they called? Easter eggs all over this damn book. I thought that was fucking great.
Wow. Quack Fu.
Quack food.
Yeah, Quack Fu is an amazing thing. And I think that is dope because, you know, revamping and bringing this kind of style, everybody knows Howard the Duck is a character.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But one of the biggest things everybody knows is the movie.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You know, I think that's what really comes out because when we sit here and we talk about Howard the Duck, everybody's going to go to that fucking George Lucas movie. You know, I don't think George Lucas will really talk about it much, but, you know.
Actually, when I was actually buying this comic, the retailer, the guy who's taking my order or whatever it is, ringing up my cell.
Food.
Now I'm hungry. He actually almost kept me there for 10 minutes because he wouldn't shut up just about every freaking thing about Howard the Duck. And it was just like, yeah, you know, that's cool, bro. You know, he was just so geeked about this one issue. He was like, yeah, I read it. He's like, this is on it. He's like, remember in the movie when this happened? Or remember the comic books, the old storylines he has? I was like, yeah, bro, yeah, that's cool. I was like, remember Lobo the Duck when they did the cross in 97 with DC and Marvel? He's like, oh, I totally forgot about that. So, like, Howard the Duck, after all these years, has always had that good following, where people just remember him and smile.
Well, I think that really goes back to more the franchise movie than the cartoon.
Oh, most definitely.
Because he was fucking awesome. He knew Quack Fu, George Lucas. He's gonna mate with this chick in her panties.
Oh, man, that was the best part of the movie.
You know, he's a manager. He has rock around him. He has little ducky condom. You know, shit like that. I remember being a kid was like, I didn't get it, but like when she's rubbing him and his little fucking feathers peek up on the top, I was like, oh, he got a boner. You know, he had play duck. You know, in the movie, and those are things. As a child, I remember that movie. I think came out around the same time I was born. But watching it then and now, I was like, this is pretty fucking adult. This is dope. Like, it makes sense.
This is that parent guardian should be around rating.
And the weird thing is, I think my parents were there.
You've heard the part rubbing each other behind you, getting ready.
Let's not talk about my parents in the podcast.
Yeah, see, it's time for you to go to bed early. It's still daylight. I said go to bed.
All right, let's keep moving forward before you get weirded out with my parents. So, we got through that, and then we get Quack Fu with another hottie, as usual, as he's getting out of jail.
Now, they're in jail. He's sitting there talking shit, like, you know, this happens to me all the time. And then, you know, he gets released because someone's allergic to his feathers. That's in the cell. Like, I didn't murder no one, but I'm allergic to his duck. And he's talking shit to the freaking detective, talking shit about him. And then he's like, him and the girl are there. They're both getting released. Let me go back to that. And then they're like, how come you guys barely have records now in the past few months? We never heard of you guys for years. And Howard just throws there, well, I come from another dimension. You should check my rap sheet over there. So it's like, this guy's just been raising hell wherever he goes.
Well, you know, and especially him being in this world, he's still back to his detective ways and shit. And it's like, all right, cool. And this kind of spins a little to your world with a little... Do you want to say his name? Because I don't.
Bro, you go ahead, because I know how much it feels like the acid builds up in your throat when you say it.
So Spider-Man and his little webby bitch eyes, they're here. And they actually come and talk to Howard.
Because Howard actually has got a case. The Black Cat actually stole a necklace or some crap from this guy. And actually, She-Hulk is in this as well.
Yeah, she is.
We're getting a little bit too ahead. But She-Hulk's there. I don't remember if she was his secretary or she works in the same building in an office next to his. But, you know, he's giving her shit. She's throwing bricks at him. You know, they're just going back and forth. And he's just like, man, doll. He keeps calling her doll. He keeps calling multiple girls in this comic doll. And they're just getting pissed like, yo, this duck's stuck in the 60s.
Doll, babe, sister.
And so, you know, you have that. And then so he gets his case to go find the Black Cat who stole this necklace. So he's like, how the fuck am I going to find the Black Cat? Well, I'm going to call fucking Spider-Man. So, you know, as you were saying, Spider-Man's here. You know, Spider-Man shows up. They're talking shit to each other. And he's like, yo, I need information on how to track down the Black Cat. He's like, yo, whoa, she's going for a kingpin status role. She's not just a common thief no more. I'm out. And he's like, well, what's the sense of having you around? You don't do any good, Spider-Man. He's like, lose my number. I'm out of here. You know?
Because Spider-Man's a bitch like that.
Hey, man, I don't know. You know, he did have that past relate. Oh, Howard was also talking about, why are you afraid? It's because you guys used to date or whatever? She broke your heart? She was calling Spider-Man a bitch, which I thought you really loved.
I do love that.
And so, you know, he goes on. He's on his own again. The girl who we met in jail, actually, they team up. She's like, hey, man, you know, I came to New York because of all the freaking shit that's happening with all these superheroes. There's more danger, you know, gets me going. She, you got a little freak in her right there. I'm really loving her.
No, you know, you got to be that freak, you know. You got to always have groupies.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, they join forces. He's like, you're hired, but you don't get paid. So I was like, yep, that's why Jesse... the underlying reason why Jesse loves Howard the Duck.
You got to go for the fucking weird chicks. Like, you can have the nice, wholesome girls, but you have that girl that's looking for problems, and she might be more fucked up than you. That means you're going to have a better time than any other time you ever had.
Would that be Princesa?
You could call it Princessa. You could call it...
Would she be your queen, though?
She probably would be the queen for the night.
Okay, you know.
You know, because like, would I take her home to mom and dad's house? Yes. Will she stay? No.
Would she rob you? Probably.
I've been robbed of dignity, my underwear, cash, STDs.
Look,
you know,
look. I borrowed one pair of underwear one time. You can't let it go.
And you gave me STDs. But I think that's what's awesome about Howard is he has a lot of those traits. It's not the fact that he's afraid of anything, because he's afraid of fucking everything, but he's more like, I'm too stupid to realize that, and I'm going to go for it.
Oh, yeah, he's just an asshole through the whole comic, and that's what you love about it. You know, it's Howard the Duck, old school Private Eye style, but at the same time, I hate life, but I love living the life I live.
Oh, for sure. You know, I mean, you have that gifted and cursed kind of complex.
Yeah.
You know.
So, like, they find So he's talking to the girl he teams up with. She's like, yeah, Black Cat, she lives down the block from me. He's like, how do you have this information? She's like, for a good, great thief, she sure sucks at being low key because she's the only person around with white hair. So, continue that storyline. They go into her house, they're in fucking pizza uniforms or delivery boy uniforms, and he has a freaking baker's hat. She's like, why do you got that hat? He's like, you can't make a pizza. You can't deliver a pizza before making it. They give it to her cats, so that, it's a decoy. Like, dogs, you get the dogs the bologna, like in How High or Next Friday 2, whatever the hell it was. So, they're running around, they find a necklace, Black Cat storms in with her dudes, so they escape. They're on the rooftops, and the Gatherer's henchman actually makes an appearance because he's looking for Howard the Duck for his collection. So the story escalates from there. They're running away, Black Cat's fighting, everyone's pretty much running away or fighting everybody. Black Cat's like, give my shit back that I stole already. The Gatherer's dude's like, you're in my way. I'm just trying to get him a bounce. And Spider-Man hears Howard the Duck. He's just swinging around, probably looking somewhere to cry.
Well, even Spider-Man does say that annoying voice. That's Howard the Duck.
And he's just like, damn it, I probably put him in this predicament. I better go help him. So they go, he goes, he's trying to help him. And then the Gatherer's goon actually zaps Howard the Duck and disappears. And I thought this would probably be something you loved. Because then Spider-Man sees what happens and he starts crying. He's like, Uncle Ben, I failed. And, I'm crying. I'm like, how it is to have that person who taught you, instilled these good-natured things into you has passed away because you failed the first time to stop something bad from happening. And it happens again. What do? You're just sitting there crying, telling that person you're sorry that you failed again. I'm pretty sure, you're like, fuck them.
Well, I think it is pretty dope. I think it's really cool. I love the whole scene where he's sitting there and he's, Uncle Ben, I'm sorry, Uncle Ben. Like, you can just see it because,
I want beans after that, or rice, Uncle Ben. But then, it goes on and you find Howard the Duck imprisoned. And he's in the collector's, little holding cell before, he actually gets his own little pod and everything. And he's sitting there talking shit still, like, again, I'm imprisoned again, what the hell. Last time I was in a holding cell like this, in which he makes a reference to DC. And he was like, last time I was in a holding cell, this guy wouldn't stop bitching about how he's allergic to this red sun and it's irritating me. For those of you who know who's allergic to the red sun, well, it makes them just a regular human. Superman. So I thought that was pretty cool. What do you think about that?
I think it's cool, but then when he gets celled up with Rocket.
At the end panel?
Yeah, see, now, that's the thing is, hey, he's here with Rocket. Now, for you who have actually seen the Guardians of the Galaxy, the big thing, an Easter egg at the end of that, because it is Howard the Duck. He's actually there with the Collector. The Collector's there, and Howard the Duck's just there, just chilling. And the simple fact that you hear Rocket talk about, the experimenting and they did and shit like that. They never really say who it was. The simple fact that he was kind of put out there. What's this leading into? Is this a prequel before the Guardians of the Galaxy? Is it something that they've met before? Are they going to go to different stories? Because it literally leads off just by itself. Guardians of the Gnomes is what it's going into.
Yeah, that's what they're saying the next issue is going to be Howard and Rocket Guardian Gnomes. And, that's a huge possibility. That would be pretty dope, they're already bringing all these characters in for this first issue. What if Howard the Duck is just in this world, he's running into all these people constantly. So he's going from Earth to space, maybe different dimensions. You're going to bring, maybe, Spider-Man 2099 might pop in in the future issues. Which I think that's really a good vamp they're going to be doing.
Well, do you think this might be a bigger vamp for, cinema?
I think so. I think, especially now that, Guardians of the Galaxy came out, mid-2014?
Something like that.
Like summer, mid-2014. And, he was in that movie, so why not do it? They did it for Wolverine before the movie came out. They did the origins of Wolverine. They have everything tying in together now with the shows, the movies, and everything. Why not?
Well, I think it's a really big possibility, especially if they're going to try to vamp up Howard the Duck to have another TV series or a movie.
A movie that does good.
Oh yeah. Well, I think
I love the first.
It
one.
It was a cult classic.
Yeah.
Let's say
there
that.
you go. Yeah.
So with that being said, what else you got? You got anything else, or is this
Nothing
what we're looking
I can
at?
think of. Do you have anything?
No, I think we pretty much touched on everything we needed.
I think the beginning of Secret Wars comes out next month. So we'll be looking probably for that as well, for Marvel.
Okay.
And then just waiting on DC's launch of the new lineup coming up here soon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jesse Lozano signing off for the Amazingly Uncanny podcast.
This is Madrid. I'll see you guys later.
Later, guys.